We were opened in 2010, but we are so excited. We're one of the few places in the country, states, that have a Women's Heritage Center that honors our past, our present, and our future. And you can tell our theme is up on the board, adding her story to history to tell our story. Because there's so many places and books that have left women out of history, so that's part of our aim. We have a theme each year. This year it's Women in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, which you'll see here. And you'll also be hearing Women of Goddard talk about the display that's in the back. And I know some of you have been looking at it. The women that are there are featured on that display. So we are so lucky to have them with us and look forward to hearing telling us their stories.
Linda, thanks a whole lot. If you would like copies, we have copies both of the book, if you would like those, and also small versions of the 6 posters that Linda mentioned also. So we've got those for everybody here, and Florence and Mary and I are all both on the posters and in the book. So, with that, I will now turn it over to Florence.
Okay, thank you for having me, and my name is Florence Tan, and I work at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center.
It's hard to hear you.
Oh, okay.
Project a little bit more.
Okay, I'll try and speak louder. And I'm an engineer. I built electronics for, I guess you guys have heard of the Mars rover, right? Everybody has heard, oh good. So I don't have to explain this. This is the SAM team, and I'm part of that team. And you can see us, really, it was, when we landed, we're on Mars, right? We were there starting about 9 p.m. Pacific time, and when we, I was just jumping out down on my chair. We didn't know what to, and you could see the stuff, and we knew the data that came down was gonna be 14 minutes old, so we did not know whether we were safe or not. And every single time, the announcer would say, okay, parachute deploy, and there was this loud cheer, and then, we've done, the lowering, loud cheer, but we knew, in the back of my head, I knew, okay, this is done already, the data is done, we don't know whether we crashed or not, but we're done. And when I reprise the emotion, we've worked on this thing for at least 10 years. The proposal came out, so this whole thing is not just a one-time thing. It's the fact that we had a few hundred people, thousands, actually 4,000 people or so, work on this mission for 6 years, and before that there was a proposal. So there's all this emotion that you just cannot imagine. It's like giving birth to a child, except it took 10 years. Just kind of, maybe. But anyhow, we got there, and after we got there, and it was unbelievable because Mars is really, really hard. I mean, I will talk extemporaneously because I have slides that show that, but the Mars, most of our Martian 60% fail. From Earth to Mars, we basically not passed because of the atmosphere, because how hard it is. Now, a little bit about this rover. I talked to all these guys who were on they become mini celebrities. It's kind of interesting. The guy who talked about how it was really hard to, how you had to tether. He actually was invited by the president of Argentina. He's Argentinian by birth, to go meet her when he went to visit his family. I'm originally from Malaysia. I don't know if they'll invite me to the palace or not. But it's kind of neat, we all get the little mini celebrity hood every 10 years or so. 15 minutes of fame, and I know on Facebook my friends say, oh, this person works on the Curiosity rover. It's kind of neat, but the whole thing is that if you do science and math, there's still periods, you kind of do data stuff, but you're still having a little fun because occasionally you get invited to the president's palace. Every 10 years, not bad. The other thing that's interesting about this rover landing is that the guy who was talking about the rover landing, it turns out that it is much easier to land this rover, calculation, when they simulated it, than it was to do. Remember the rovers that they had with the bouncing balls with the big airbags, those were much harder because you could not understand the physics. Once it comes down, it's chaos theory. You know, you have to figure out where it's going to bounce. You don't know if it's going to bounce on a mountain or a little rock. So it turns out that it's much easier to simulate. The physics works well. They put dampeners in the. By the way, the tethers, they're made of nylon. You know, like your clothes string, 3 nylon. Holding the thing. So it's kind of neat. You know, you hear all these like little things that, you know, on the side that you don't hear when JPL is pushing out, you know, all this public affairs stuff. But what's really neat is you talk to the people, and the guy finally told me, he said, you know, Miguel is his name, Miguel someone. He said, we landed with style. I like that. So we're in Mars. Now what? Well, we look around, touchdown confirm, and the words were, let's see what curiosity will take us. And this is the first picture. I don't know if you can see it, but you know, it's kind of dark. It's too bad. But the picture of that mountain there is Mount Sharp, and we also have again, you know, I'm sorry. We have 17 cameras on this rover. It's the size of a Mini Cooper, the wheelbase of a Hummer. It goes kind of slow, you know, but it can go in an hour, 1.5 football fields. Not very fast, but still. You know, we're not doing it fast. We have 2 years. Mission life is 2 years. 1 Martian year. Oh, who knows what 1 Martian day is called? Anyone? No. It's called a SOL, S-O-L. So, I have been working on Martian time. So, when I go to work, I'm working on a Martian day. So, the Martian day is 24 hours and 35 minutes approximately. So, my clock resets. 35 minutes more. I go to bed 35 minutes later, or I wake up 35, you know, it's just bizarre. So what happens is all our windows are darkened so that when we work in this control room, we're not affected by the sun, so that we can, you know, actually I don't even know what time. It's funny, when you work in this kind of environment, you don't even know what day it is, you just know what sol it is. For example, I can tell you today is sol 80. We've been on Mars for 80 sols. But I cannot tell you how many days has passed. And I cannot tell you what day of the week it is, and I cannot tell you what date it is. Because you lose perspective. And so you work very, very hard, but it's really exciting, because every day some picture comes, and there's this loud cheer because, you know, we've wiggled our wheels, you know, we had to wiggle our wheels, we had to take pictures, and it's really neat to see the stuff, this fruition of all the work that we put in come to pass. It's really amazing. And so you know, here they had to, the first time you come down, you know, there's a lot of engineering, what we call commissioning tests. You do your camera, take some pictures, you move your arm up, you unfold your wheels. Actually, the wheels, all they did was wiggle, you know, and then just to make sure that you can work every mechanism. And then you do there are 10 instruments on the rover, so you test every instrument. You do these very basic tests that you had planned for quite a few, you know, for a year. When we launched in November 25th, 2011, from November 25th, 2011 to August 5th, 2012, we had training every month, like kind of like the way you go on for a big play, you know, theater, where you have production time. And so we had training on all the tools, on how to communicate. We had to learn to talk. Like, for example, I can't just say, hey, control room, this is Florence. I can't say that. So we all have roles. So like, for example, I'm a payload downlink lead and a payload uplink lead. So uplink, you send commands. Downlink, you get data. So you have to say, you know, and then you have to say to the payload downlink coordinator. Now, NASA is full of TLAs, 3-letter acronyms. So it's PDC, PDL, Sam PDL speaking. That's how you talk. You don't, you know, you get the person you want to talk to, and then you identify yourself. Then you say what you want to ask. So it's kind of interesting that way. You know, there's a whole bunch of lingo, whole bunch of details that you have to understand. You know, that you don't. So in the beginning it was kind of funny because we were all like a little bit awkward. But in the beginning, towards the end, you know, it's like PDC, PDL, you know, and it's really fast, and nobody understands what you're talking about, and if you know, get parachuted down. So we saw lots and lots of rocks. So and pictures, and we've now taken some data with the atmospheric experiments too, and I'll show you some stuff. So the trip took over 8 months. We traveled 354 million miles. As I told you, it's really, really hard. 60% of the missions ended in failure on Mars. So we've been really good recent. We've been. If you see the red stuff, that's failure. The blue stuff is the more recent successes. And recently, we've learned how to work this issue. So it's Curiosity, picture of Curiosity. And so why are we going to Mars? Turns out we want to understand what the environment of Mars is, whether it has any potential, past, present, and maybe future habitability that we may or may see. So there's a lot of signatures of say life that you can, not even life, it's actually isotope ratios that you're actually looking for. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking at the biological potential, the geology, the geochemistry, the role of water, surface radiation, and different things that make up what we think Mars is. Mars is very interesting to scientists because of that. So I just talked about it. You can't quite see this, but I just talked about this. So again, this is can you see this? This is better, right? Yeah, this is the rover. It's pretty tall. The mast it looms over my head. Actually, I wish I put a picture of me. I was actually under the rover looking at something, and somebody took a picture. Like I was like a rover mechanic, so to speak. So here is a picture of the different rovers that we have. Our rover is very, very large. It's about 900 kilograms, and the reason it's so big is because we have these 10 instruments. It's the most capable rover that we've taken to Mars, and Sojourner and Opportunity and Spirit, which, by the way, Opportunity and Spirit is still going on after these many years, and is also part of the Pathfinder that allows us to bring this large rover to Mars. It's funny, the building we operate in, we're on the 4th floor. All the Mars people on the floor, we call it the 4th floor, and then there's the 7th floor is the MER people. This is the Opportunity and Spirit people. So the MSL Curiosity rover people is here, and then the Opportunity is 7th floor. The 8th floor is the managers, and then the 6th floor is where we do our meetings and stuff. So we know which floor people are going to when you look at their badges. So it's kind of neat. So the Curiosity, again, very, very, very heavy. And this is me in front of the rover in Florida just before it launched. So here in Maryland, what are our roles? We contribute to one of the instruments called SAM, and it's called Surface Analysis at Mars. And I am the electrical lead for this instrument. It is the most complex instrument we've ever flown in space, ever. Because it's got, let's see, it's a suite of 3 instruments. It's a quadruple mass spectrometer, tunable laser spectrometer, and some 6 GC columns. But it has these major, like 72 cups that you can take samples, soil samples in, and it goes around in a carousel and goes into an oven. The oven can go up to 1100 degrees Celsius, about 1600 Fahrenheit. Very hot. Okay, so we have 2 ovens. We also have we carry our own helium. The helium tanks are pressurized to about 2,000 pounds per square inch. We also have these pumps, these turbomolecular pumps, because you can't just use any pump to pump helium and all this stuff out. The pumps go up to 105,000 RPM. Now your cars go up to what, 9,000? So we have to solve pretty complex engineering problems, and it's really fun because I don't actually go to work and say, wow, let's go, buy some pumps from the pump store. It doesn't work. So everything has to be solved, and you make it an investigation. So the pumps have to, and we, of course, when you start building something, you run into problems immediately. Oh, guess what? The ball bearings are not holding up. We have something called Brunelling. Because you can't, the other thing is that you want to pump something that you're trying to measure very sensitive stuff with. You can't just use WD-40 on the, because you're gonna have all kinds of biochemistry signatures. It doesn't work. So you have to research every detail, and that kind of, where you have limitations, but the limitations are such that you have to figure it out, and then it's like a puzzle. So if anyone likes puzzles, if you're an engineer, you like puzzles, it's great, because every day you're like, well, let's build this. Okay, this doesn't work. Okay, let's do this. So I never tell my guys, do this. It's more like, what if? That whole HP ad that says what if, and it's true. For engineering, you do what ifs, a lot of them. So, for example, to get gas coming into the SAM instrument, you have to, Mars is really cold. The Mars temperature diurnal cycle goes from like minus 100, Antarctica is cold, but Mars is cold. Yes. We got a little bit on you. So it's like 105 degrees below zero to about, you can go as hot as maybe 20 degrees above zero, Fahrenheit. So we have to deal with such extremes every day. When you want to sample gas from Mars, if you're not, and it's a lot warmer in the instrument because we have a nice little radiothermal generator, nuclear power generator to provide us power. So we are a lot warmer than, say, the atmosphere. When you come in and you take gas in, the first thing it does is, what does it do? It condenses. So we will get arteriosclerosis or, heart attack, Our pipes are really tiny. Our pipes are, some of the pipes are the inner diameter is as small as your hair's diameter. 5/1000th of an inch, very small. So we have to heat these lines up. What do? We wrap every line with a heater. Guess what? You want to heat it up to 135 degrees C. It's going to burn up the wires that bring the electricity to heat it up. So we had to research like special wires. So what I did was, I had a baking project. You guys know baking, right? You just put the thing in the oven and you look at it over and so there's a lot of investigations like that. And so that's why it's fun. Anyhow, so this is me in front of the instrument working. Let's see, where did we land? We landed if Mars is like Earth, we landed on the equator, a little bit south of the equator. And again, the name of the place we landed is called Gale Crater. And see, this is where we're at right here. Like we use Google on it. And I wanted to show you pictures of as we were landing. This is the parachute that was snapped and captured by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, and you can see our parachute. And this is the heat shield falling away from the rover as we were coming down. And again, this is kicking out the dust. You can see like this is like a circle, but that was the dust that was kicked up by all the thrusters. I don't know if you can see, but there's scour marks from the landing engines, and we can see, we call it gold burn. And again, there's a tiny little dot there. You can see again, there's tracks. You can't see the tracks, but there are tracks on it's so clear that the MRO orbiter could capture it. This is the panoramic picture of Mount Sharp. Here is, again, if you have time, go to JPL's website. Some of these pictures are there, a lot of them are there. And this is the self-portrait of the camera that we take pictures with. Here's some wheels. Again, I'm sorry this is not coming out. And we started using our lasers to zap the rocks. And there are actually holes here. I don't know if you can see these, but these are the holes created by our ChemCam laser. And the ChemCam laser allows us to investigate the contents of the mineralogy on the rock. Here is a picture of our wheel. You can't quite see it. It looks like a footprint. We landed on some sand dunes. So before we've scooped about 4 scoops already of stuff, and we've analyzed it. So anyway, here is a hot summer day on Mars. It's very, very cold. And I showed you told you the temperatures. So we're going to this place called Glen Elk I guess humans are kind of funny. We go to a place and we name it after, some place in Scotland or some place in, name after, Bradbury, Ray Bradbury had died, so we named the landing site after him. So it's kind of neat that way, we go, that's why we have places like New York, right? New York, as opposed to York, England. So every day, my daily schedule starts every day. When we start, we receive the data, we get the science team together, we put the status report together, and we plan our day every day to make sure, and then we review the plan because you don't want to send the wrong commands up and fail, right? Because this is a national asset. It's $2.5 billion. You paid for it. Thanks. So every day is like a lot. Like we look at it very carefully, and we really think about what we're going to do, and we kind of go between the scientists and the engineers and the scientists. I want to go here. I want to go here, and then it's as the project scientist John Grotzinger said, it's like you're driving a car from here, from LA to San Francisco, but with 400 passengers, and they're all scientists, and they all want to go. Let's go there. Let's go there. No, I want to see this. I want to see that. No, and then the engineers, who's the driver, go, wait, we don't have enough fuel. Wait, that's not enough time to do this. Wait, your data downlink rates is not fast enough. So all this has to be pulled together, and we work many hours to get this to work, and it's a collaborative effort, and it's really neat because there's no politics, no anything. We're just doing it pure for the fun and the science of it. So you should all be scientists.